What's up? It's me, Shantria, and I am here with my very first video. So this video is gonna be in parts. So tonight I'm gonna be talking about, the first time I was sexually assaulted. So I made notes about what went on during that time so I can remember. So I'm going to be looking that up and down at you guys. I'm trying to make sure that I look up mostly so I can be more engaged with you guys. So, and by the way, the names I'm going to be using in this video is not going to be their real names. I'm just making them up for protection. So let's get started. So when I was 12 years old, I moved to the small town. It was me, my brother, and my mom. We moved to the small town, right? We moved to the small town. We moved in with her current boyfriend at the time. I'm going to call him Michael. Yeah, we're going to call him Michael. So Michael wanted a housewarming party that weekend. So that's exactly, what happened. So some of us met his family, and by the way, Michael had 3 kids, but only 2 were his biological kids. So one of his actual biological child was his youngest son, and I'm going to call him Steve. So yeah, Steve. At the time, I think Steve was 17 years old. And, he was at the party too. And his other son, who is not his biological son, but he raised him. But even though it wasn't his actual son, but he still raised him. So I'm going to call him Mark. He was 18 or 19, one of the 2. So Mark was DJing at that party that night, and his one of his other child, his actual child, was he had a daughter. So I'm not really going to say her name or whatever or make it up, because to be honest, she's irrelevant to the story. But I'm just giving y'all the background, just a little bit of the background. So yeah, Mark, he was DJing at the party. He did, as far as I know, he was DJing on the side or whatever. And oh yeah, the party was held at the back of the house. Yeah, the party was held at the back of the house, because honestly, it wasn't much room at the front. I remember I was outside talking to, one of Michael's nieces. And while I was doing that, I glanced at Steve and Mark. They were talking about something. And I was thinking to myself, I was wondering what were they talking about. Then Steve came over where me and Michael's niece were. Me and her were just having a normal conversation. So we were just talking about random stuff. We were just talking about random stuff. And I remember we both distanced ourselves from from Steve. We both had distanced ourselves from Steve because I had told her that because I had something to tell her, you know, and I didn't want anybody else hearing what I had to say to her. So I remember looking back at Steve to make sure he wasn't listening, and he was actually on his phone when I, you know, looked over at him. So his phone. So a little, honestly, I don't even remember what I told her, but a little while after that, Steve, he wanted me to follow him to the front of the house. And like I said before, the party was held at the back of the house because the front of the house, it wasn't much room. And then also in the front, it was a lot of trees and it was not much light. So it was pointless to have a party in the front. Like I said, it wasn't much room. There was little to no light and a lot of trees in a way. So yeah, Steve wanted me to he wanted me to follow him to the front of the house. And I'm thinking, like, I was hesitant about it at first because, like I'm telling you guys, there was no light. You know, it was really not much back there. It was dark back there at the front of the house. So I told him no at first, right? But then I thought to myself, okay, maybe he has something to tell me, like a secret or whatever. And so I decided to follow him to the front. So we stood on the front porch and he told me he was just so blunt with it. He was like, I'm not gonna say the actual word because it is a lot more explicit about what he actually said to me. So I'm gonna paraphrase it. He was like, I want to have sex with you, right? And you guys, I'm 12 years old during this time, and a 17-year-old is wanting to have sex with me. And I'm thinking, honestly, you guys, I don't know what to think. I'm like shocked at what just came out of his mouth. So yeah, he wanted to have sex with me and he wanted to do it right there. And I was very uncomfortable and I didn't know what to think. I wasn't ready, you know. And everything about it just felt so weird, you know. And I was nervous, very nervous. So I asked him, I'm like, why me? You know, I said, why me? Because wouldn't it be better if, you know, you had somebody your own age who's more experienced, you know, with this stuff? And I was a virgin at the time, you know. And he said the words that came out of his mouth, it was just very pathetic. But he said, because you're thick. Because you're thick. That's exactly what he said. And then I said, my mom is with your dad, so that basically makes us like brother and sister. And he said, so? You know, he just said so, like it was like whatever. And then he said, it's not like we are real brother and sister. Then it's gonna get a little bit more explicit the more I tell this story. but this is just part one. Okay, so shortly after he said that, he starts like kissing me like with tongue. And you guys, like I said, I was 12 years old. I was a virgin. I wasn't even thinking about having sex with anybody, and let alone French kissing somebody. I wasn't thinking about any of that. So yeah, he starts kissing me and he puts his tongue in my mouth, and he was touching all over me, and he grabbed my butt and he told me to turn around. So I did. And honestly, I'm gonna give you guys more insight about this whole thing, but he told me to turn around. So I did that, and so yeah, I turned around, and he puts his you know, his manly thing on my butt, and I immediately felt that he had a boner, you know, through his jeans. And he begins to like move, like go into like a circular motion. While that was happening, his hands, you know, go up my shirt, and then he begins to, you know, play with my chest area. And during this process, I felt like I wanted to burst in tears. It was like how I felt or what I said really didn't matter. So he told me to pull my pants down. So I started pulling my pants down a little. Then I told him no. I'm scared. And he asks why. And by that time, he is like annoyed with me. And yeah, he's annoyed. By that time, he is annoyed with me. And he just kept pressuring me, and all I was doing was repeating myself on why I didn't want to do it. But he just kept like pressuring me, and while having this conversation, while we are having this conversation, cars kept pulling into the driveway, and then we would both play it off like nothing was going on. So eventually I ended up walking away from him and the conversation. You know, I was sticking to my no. And after that, I didn't tell anyone. Not even my own mom. Like, I didn't tell anybody. So, and honestly, I didn't know how to come out and say it. You know, I'm 12 years old. I was just touched inappropriately by a 17-year-old. And the things he said to me, it was like, I didn't know how to communicate with anybody about what just happened. And my feelings were all over the place, and I didn't know what to do with them. But honestly, all I wanted to do was to forget that everything didn't even happen. Maybe 5 minutes, probably 5 minutes passed by, and let me start over. So I got a text on my phone. It was from an unknown number. So they said they wanted to have sex with me, so obviously I knew exactly who it was. I knew exactly who it was. So come to find out, my little brother ended up giving him my number or whatever. Obviously he didn't know anything about it, you know, he thought it was just harmless because, yeah, no, like I said, I didn't tell anybody. So for now, that is the end of my story time, and you guys stay tuned for part 2.